Gen Z has never been more connected, and yet we're the loneliest generation on record. Almost 60% of us admit to feeling chronically lonely. Think about that. We can talk to strangers across the world in seconds. We can match on Tinder in minutes. We can overshare our trauma on TikTok to millions. But the second somebody actually tries to care about us, tries to get close, we panic. We ghost, we scroll, because it's not sex we're afraid of, it's intimacy. Intimacy means being truly seen, and when every flaw, every mistake can become a meme overnight, being seen feels terrifying. And I get it. Some of us grew up watching our parents split up. Others grew up in chaos. So we learned early that closeness means pain. That's why we run from it. But what makes it worse is the advice we've been fed. Dating coaches, red pill guys, even feminist gurus, they all go viral pretending to have the answers. But half the time, they're exposed for not even living the lives they preach. They sell us extremes. Never trust women. Men are trash. Just focus on high value. Just heal your feminine energy. None of it actually fixes the problem. It just makes us more scared, more cynical, and more disconnected.
Gen Z is fucked, but it's not impossible to reverse all the damage. If we don't though, this could really be the end of real relationships. We're talking men stuck on corn and fake validation, women turning into bitter man haters, and the cycle repeating into even more broken homes and slurs roaming the streets. I'm not saying that for shock value, I'm saying it because I see where it's all connected. And it all starts with the most common problem in modern dating, situationships. And that's usually the main pattern that I notice whenever people start dating each other. So instead of making things mutually exclusive and just between you and that person, it's now turned into something vague. So things like talking stages, sneaky links, or just any other degenerate shit that people will do just to avoid giving each other a title. Because when there's no label, then there's no heartbreak. But the crazy ironic thing is that when you operate from a place of keeping things vague, then that quote unquote safety net leaves us feeling emptier than rejection ever will. Because as human beings, we value connection, we value intimacy. And when you shield your heart from that, you're basically suppressing your human innate needs, and sooner or later, whether you like it or not, somehow that shit's gonna resurface. And what makes this thing even more scarier is the fact that people think that they have an illusion of options once they shield their heart. Because in the social media landscape with dating apps and multiple apps where you can talk to people from across the world or from different cities and shit, somehow these apps trick us into believing that there's someone better just right across the street. So when they keep feeding us this narrative, we're going to not feel incentivized to stick and stay with that person that we're with, and always retreat whenever shit hits the fan. Instead of confronting it or talking about it like actual grown adults, we retreat, ghost, and just do immature shit. And that's why everything just feels temporary nowadays, and there's no level of closeness with anybody. And I can't even blame you guys entirely, because this shit sells. You see this in movies, TV shows, music, like degeneracy sells. And it's overall just culture, because the culture itself profits off of our fear. Like bro, even look at your For You page or your YouTube feed and look at what you consume. Things like Love Island, rap songs, toxicity, all this shit is warping your mind into believing that intimacy is scary and that you should avoid it at all costs and just go into temporary, superficial situationships. All of it just sells chaos. Why? Because dysfunction entertains. The more broken we are, the more they profit. So now intimacy doesn't just feel risky, but it also feels boring, monotonous compared to the dysfunction we've been programmed to chase. But the thing is, monotony and all these boring things is what leads to a fruitful, passionate, long-term relationship. I don't even have to be a relationship guru to even tell you that I've seen it firsthand from people who have been in long-term relationships, and most of the time they keep their shit off of social media and it's not performative. You know what I mean? So you wouldn't even know about their drama, you wouldn't even know what's going on within their lives. They keep shit away from the masses, and things are so dysfunctional now that I'm scared where we're going to be 10, maybe even 20 years from now if things keep going the way it is. And the thing is, we noticed this in the past with the start of the sexual revolution.
Okay, let's break down how sex went from sacred to sloppy. Okay. Before the 1960s, sex was mostly tied to marriage, family, and stability. If you were having kids, it was inside a home. Okay. Then along comes the pill, birth control, and boom! For the first time in history, people could separate sex from consequences, and the movement that formed around it, that was called the sexual revolution. Okay. Now here's where it gets tricky. Feminists thought at this point in time, this is freedom. We don't have to be tied to men or kitchens or babies. Sounds empowering on paper. Okay. But the dirty truth is, the elites and weak little men were pushing it too. Elites loved it because if you destroy the family, you create broken homes. And broken homes make easier workers. Okay. And weak men loved it because now they didn't have to compete, build, or lead. They could just pander, pretend to be allies, push casual sex, and slide into beds they never would have touched before. Okay. So what happened? Intimacy got stripped away. Sex stopped being about closeness and love and started being about numbers and novelty. By the 80s and 90s, you had hookup culture baked into college life. By the 2000s, media was selling it. MTV, reality shows. Every pop star preaching liberation while quietly being controlled by labels and execs. Okay. Fast forward to today. Gen Z is stuck with the hangover. Tinder, sneaky links, OnlyFans, porn addictions. We were told this was empowerment, but what it really did was make relationships feel cheap. Now people ghost each other, brag about body counts, and call chaos passion. So, if you're wondering why Gen Z is scared of intimacy, why everyone's lonely but pretending they're free, it's because we got sold a stupid idea 60 years ago. Okay. An idea that sounded like liberation but was really just the elites, the feminists, and the simps pulling the strings. And the price we pay today? Broken homes, empty hookups, and whole generations who don't even know what closeness feels like anymore.
Now, instead of fixing that damage, the internet turned that into a monetizable business. Same way how marriage is now treated as a monetizable business rather than a communion between two loving couples who are together for the rest of their lives until death do them part. The thing is, red pill coaches tell men to distrust women, that they're never yours, it's just your turn, because these guys are traumatized and they've probably gotten their heart broken. And so they're trying to push this narrative on you so that way you become bitter and docile just like them because you want to wear your heart on your sleeve. And let's look at the feminists are basically doing the same thing that the red pill are doing, but they're two sides of the same coin. But the fact of the matter is, the underlying thing that we're not addressing is that none of them are solving intimacy. None of them are bringing people closer together. They all sell extremes because extremes gets clicks. You feel what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about this is, and you guys should already know this, but like half of them don't even live what they preach. If you look at what their life looks like behind closed doors, it's a whole mess. It's dysfunctional. And this is why I always tell you guys to be careful who you get information off the internet. Even me, I try to talk in anecdotes and my own personal experience based off what works for me, and I try to give it out to you guys based off what's relevant. Of course, I won't give you all the details of what happens in my life because I don't want y'all to get parasocial on me, but it's like I'm never going to talk in absolutes or act as if I have all the answers. And the thing you got to realize is they are not role models, they are entertainers. And if you build your relationships just based off of entertainment or hedonism, then you're just going to be just as miserable as these fucking bots. It's like the blind leading the blind. So instead of being weak and acting as if everybody's out here to hurt you and thinking that you're as important as you think you are, no bro, you're closing your heart off to people who could potentially be compatible with you. And if you continue down this path, especially Gen Z, if we continue down this path, we're fucked. Ghosting doesn't protect us, or playing any of these games. It just proves that we're weak and scared. Also understand that the illusion of options doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us from choosing anyone. And no one wants to die alone. Let's just be honest. No one wants to be alone. So you got to understand that being seen is the only thing that could save us. Stop closing yourself off to people who could potentially be compatible with you. And stop listening to these dumbass people on the internet. And this is coming from an idiot himself. And I say idiot very loosely. Of course I'm not an idiot, but the sooner you can learn this and acknowledge this and realize like all this shit is just an illusion and a play on your mind, the sooner you can live a better, more happier life than compared to these people on the internet. This video is not that long, but I just want to get my point across. And hopefully this resonated with somebody. If it did, hey, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend who needs to see or hear this. Dream big and take action. I'm gonna see you guys. Peace.